I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference.
Hello, Hélène.
Hello, Patricia.
19 years ago, Hélène crossed a border that would reshape her life and her family's future. With the new French edition of her book Grâce, Dorothea now published, she reflects with us on the choices that brought her here, the courage it took to step into the unknown in France, and the next frontier she's preparing to cross. Your book has just been released in French.
Yes, it has, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us a bit about your book and why you wrote it?
I think I wrote it because many people hearing the subject of the book, one of the subjects I should say, encouraged me to write it down because they said that what I was telling them every now and then could be of benefit to others and could help others. And that's why at some point I decided to start writing it down.
Now you're making me curious. So tell us a bit about the contents, if you like.
The book is called Grâce à Dorothea, au-delà des frontières. It has three main themes. The first one is life and death. So that's the border I crossed thanks to Grâce à Dorothea, my cousin, who died very unexpectedly in a car crash, but who showed me that life goes on in a different way. But it certainly doesn't stop with death. It continues. Another border I write about is the border, the boundary between life as it was and life as it is. So between, in French, hier et aujourd'hui, between the past and the now. The third border I talk about is a literal border, a physical one, namely the one between countries. And that's an easy border to cross because we emigrated in 2006 from the Netherlands to France. And it's very easy to step from the Netherlands into Belgium and from Belgium into France. But then I'm talking about this physical border because emotionally it's a completely different thing. So that's one of the things I also describe. How does that feel?
The emotional border.
The emotional border, yeah. The emotional boundary, yeah, that you cross, yeah.
Let's talk about borders and boundaries. Because you've crossed both. Tell us about that. What's the difference between a border and a boundary?
I would say for me, the border is something physical and like the border between countries. But boundaries are things that you use as a limitation maybe, or that others put on you as a limitation. And so a border is something you can actually, I think, see.
Yes.
Whereas
Define.
a boundary is something which often lies within you.
What was the most difficult boundary you had to cross?
I think the most difficult one was the one that I had to cross 19 years ago when we left the Netherlands. You leave your country literally. So that's not so difficult, but to leave it behind permanently is very difficult. And that was something I struggled with, to leave behind, to step over that boundary of knowing that you leave behind everything you know, everyone you know, everything you're familiar with, to go into the unknown, literally into the unknown, into something you somewhere you don't know anyone, and no one knows you, and that I found a very difficult border.
But still, you did it.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Still, I did it. Sometimes when people ask me, why did you do that? I mean, your life was perfect as it was. And maybe, yes, it was. But, you know, the whole process was let's say it takes 10 steps to finish the whole process. And the first 9 you take very easily. You think, oh yeah, I'm doing that. I'm going to register the children. We're going to sell a house. And you do all the necessary dry stuff, you know, practical and then stuff. The practical stuff. And then the last 10th step, to me, it felt like stepping into a roller coaster and being pulled up high and thinking, what am I doing? And why am I doing this? Get out. But I couldn't get out anymore. It was too late. Our house had been sold and everything was, it was just, I had to stay in that roller coaster until the finish line. And the finish line was, in our case, a new place in France. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell us, looking back, what did you leave behind in your old life?
What did I leave behind? I think in the Netherlands already we were we were free spirits and quite open-minded, because otherwise we wouldn't have even considered doing this. Because in the Netherlands we had a fantastic house, we had 2 great jobs. My husband and I both had a good job. The children were doing well. We had lots of friends, family, sport clubs around us. There was no reason to go. And so you have to let go of all that. And maybe one of the things I should add is that considering it for me was also the fact that, I'm a Sagittarius. And astrologically, I don't know if you know a bit about that, but you probably do.
I do.
Yes. And you then know that Sagittarius people are very are free spirits, are honest and love freedom. Not only freedom in speech, but also freedom around to move and to say and to do what they like. And I found myself a really, let's say, I thought, well, you'd be a poor Sagittarius if you didn't dare take the step into France. So that's actually what it was. Mm-hmm. So I thought, come on, Hélène, you can do this. You're a Sagittarius, and take that step, go for it. And you'll get help somewhere down the road. Mm-hmm. And yeah, of course there was help down the road. Yeah.
Was there? Tell us about that.
I think, yes. I think, you sometimes doubt whether you can do things. And when you actually do them, there's always someone or something that is helping you. If your decision was the right one to take, if it was the next step meant to be, then you'll find support. Yeah. In also where you do not expect to find it. And it's there. Yeah.
Kind of like small miracles and big miracles.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Amazing. Yes, exactly.
Quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. So coming back to why you wrote it down, people are saying you should write it down because why?
People will always be telling me, why don't you do anything with it? Why do you keep it to yourself and just share it with a small group here now at the dinner table? Or why don't you write a book about it? Because it will certainly help people to realize that there is so much more between heaven and earth, or however you want to define it. There's so much more than what we can actually put our finger on, and trust, notice, dare to see. And when it happened, when my cousin died, that's this year, 30 years ago. She was 34, I was 33. But my life was so busy, I didn't have the time to. Of course, I mourned her a lot. And I thought of her a lot. That's why it happened, I think, what happened, or what you can find back in the book. But I just didn't find the time to sit down and start writing it down. It was not until I'd come to France that talking about it with people who were our guests or friends, that I noticed that it was interesting to so many that I decided to go and write it down. But even therefore, I had to leave France for a while, because we've got a domaine de gîte, holiday business, and that too takes a lot of attention and work. And at some point, I decided to go to Spain for a few weeks to teach Spanish to an English couple. And I had to teach them for 3 hours a day. And the rest of the day, on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, I had to spend on my own. And that's there that I decided to take my laptop and start writing it down. Yeah.
And there was also a very special person who came to help you find balance between work and entertainment to discover the
Yes,
region,
yes.
isn't it?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Tell us a bit about
Yeah, it was a Spanish elderly man I met whilst walking the dogs. I met him and he asked me if could we sometimes walk the dogs together, maybe. And I said, well, yes, why not? And he said, this afternoon. I said, well, actually, I already walked them today. And he looked so disappointed. I said, okay, we'll walk this afternoon. And from that day on, we walked together every day. And he taught me so much about nature there and it was very nice to see that the role I had for him was that I said to him, no matter where we walk, you always know the way back and we can meet people and I can, because I speak several languages, if it's their place we're at, if it's their gardens, or I can explain why we're there because we didn't know it was their gardens or anything like that. We just, because I speak those languages, don't worry. And he was always worried that people would be a bit offended by our crossing over their land, or so that's the rule. I could crossing borders
together
again, exactly. And he could, because I was with him, I knew I could go back home because it was all new to me and everything. I can't say looked alike, but yes, the mountains and the dry river beddings, and I didn't dare go far from home because I didn't know how to get back. But thanks to him and thanks to everything he knew from nature, we could together cross borders. Yeah.
So the invisible help came.
Yeah.
And became visible.
Very visible. Yeah.
What was his name and what would you want to say to him now?
Aha. Maybe he was an angel. He was a fantastic guy. He was...
what was his name?
Manuel, but friends called him Manolo. He was a lot older than I was. He was my dad's age. Yes. And he made me think of my dad. And it was, if you can talk about love at first sight, it was love at first sight. But it was a connecting of souls. It was not physical love. It was connecting of souls. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. Yeah, he was there when I left the day I had to go back. He was standing in the street and he was saying to me, oh God, that makes me emotional again. He was saying to me, I'll be standing here at this point waiting for you to come back. I didn't know what to say. I just said, please promise me you will go home every now and then to eat a bit. And he said, yes, but I'll be waiting here for you. Well, he was a fantastic man. Yeah. So beautiful help there.